Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We got a good one prepared for you today. What we're going to be doing is we are going to be completely breaking down every single game for week 8 of the 2024 NFL football season. We are going to break them down and we're going to predict who's going to win, who's going to lose, and what the final score will be. And we'll also touch on the money lines, the spreads, and the over-unders. We do this for every single NFL game, every single week. And we also do the same thing for every single college football game as well. If you are a football fan, if you are a sports fan, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe so you can follow along with us this season. As I was saying, we are going to be going over all of our week 8 matchups. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let's go ahead and get things started. We have a lot of games. There's no teams on bye weeks this week. We have a lot of good matchups coming in. We have some injuries. We have some guys coming off of injury, coming back to the roster. And we also have a lot of trade rumors going on. So the roster that we see today might not be the roster that shows up on Sunday. But let's get started running through these games. The very first matchup we have is our Thursday night prime time Amazon video game at 8:15. We have the 5-1 Minnesota Vikings coming off that loss to the Lions. We did have them losing to the Lions. They will be playing the LA Rams at 2-4. Right now, the Vikings are obviously the favorite. They come in here. They have a 53.7% chance to win this game. 3-point favorites. The over-under here is 48.5. I actually thought that was kind of a low spread considering the Rams are still pretty banged up. Now, they're supposed to be getting Cooper Kupp back. Nakua is back at practice on a limited basis, but he's not supposed to be playing this game. Looking at the Vikings, this is one of the best rounded teams in the NFL right now. They put up a fight versus the Lions, but they lost that one. But still, this is a team that, as of this point, still has Super Bowl aspirations. One of the top 5 teams in the NFL right now. They're led by Sam Darnold. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks. And the Rams have the Grizzly veteran Stafford. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. That's the problem for the Rams right now. Lots of turnovers. But Cooper Kupp coming back. But with Cooper Kupp coming back, there's also a lot of trade rumors coming on. Heck, he might not even be there Sunday. We don't know. As of right now, the Vikings are averaging 28 points a game. They pass for 213.8. They run for 119.3. And their defense, a top 10 defense in the NFL, only giving up 17.8. But they do give up 260.3 passing yards. There will be opportunities for the Rams to throw the ball, but they shut down the run game. They're only giving up 80 rushing yards per game. For the Rams, they're averaging 19. Throwing for 212.8, running for 100.3, and their defense, not a very good defense, giving up 25.7 points a game. They give up 212.7 passing yards, 151.7 rushing yards. There will be opportunities for the Vikings to get the running game going here versus the Rams. The Vikings, they have Darnold, they have Jones, they have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, Justin Jefferson, and the Rams have Stafford, Williams, and Atwell, and potentially Cooper Kupp playing this Sunday. So I'm going to go with the Vikings winning this one. I think they're going to pull it out 27-17. We don't even know the full Rams team that will show up. I do think this game will be close for 3 quarters, but the Vikings are going to pull away in the 4th quarter, and they're probably going to get 1 or 2 turnovers this game. The next one we're looking at, we're moving on to our Sunday games at 1 p.m. on Fox. We have the 3-4 Cardinals coming off a win versus the 2-4 Miami Dolphins coming off of that close loss, and we did have them losing that one. Right now, the Cardinals have a 57.5% chance to win this game, but it's the Dolphins who are the 3-point favorites. The over-under here is 46 points. And this is a potential tough one because a lot of this Vegas spread betting right now is based off of Tua coming back to play this game. He has been cleared. It's week 8, so he can come off of the IR. They haven't for sure said who's going to be starting at the quarterback position, but as of right now, Vegas thinks Tua's coming back, and I'm going off of Tua coming back to start this game. The Dolphins could not be happier if they get Tua, especially Waddle and Hill. They need someone who can consistently spread the ball to them. They were down to their 4th string quarterback this past Sunday. They've had massive quarterback problems. The worst offense in the NFL, but it'd be one of the best offenses in the NFL if they had Tua spreading the ball out. They had a top 5 offense last season. They just need the quarterback back. As of right now, the Cardinals, they're led by Kyler Murray. He's closing in on 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. The Dolphins, they've had 15 different guys playing quarterback right now. The Cardinals, they average 21.4 per game. They pass for 181. They run for 150.3. Very balanced offense. When they're on, they're on. When they're off, they're off. Each week, they switch back and forth. They had a good week this past week, so now they're probably due for a sloppy game. That's just the way things work. They give up 25.4 points a game, 236.9 passing yards, 139.6 rushing yards. Their biggest issue is they have issues generating a strong pass rush. So if Tua comes back, this is actually probably a pretty good game for him to come back and hopefully not get dinged up. For the Dolphins, are only averaging 11.7 points a game. They throw for 179.5. They run for 128.7. They give up 21.5, which is actually pretty good since their defense is on the field the whole game. They give up 154.5 passing yards, 130.7 rushing yards. The Cardinals, they have Murray, they have Connor, they have McBride, they have Marvin Harrison Jr. when he's not in concussion protocol. For the Dolphins, one of the best offensive rosters, Mostert, Achin, Hill, Waddle, Berrios. Just can they get Tua back? I'm banking on Tua coming back, starting this game. I have the Dolphins pulling this one out, winning this one 24-17, but that's based off of Tua getting the start on Sunday. This next matchup at 1 p.m. on Sunday, we have the 4-2 Philadelphia Eagles. They're running hot right now. They'll be playing the 3-4 Cincinnati Bengals, who are a lot better than their record. They're riding a 2-game winning streak right now. They want to win this one. They want to get back to 500. Right now, the Bengals are the slight favorites. They come into this game 2.5-point favorites. And the over-under here is 47.5. The Eagles with a 55.8% chance to win this game. The reason that is the Eagles, since the second half of last season, have had turnover issues. The last few games, they've cut the turnovers down. When you see this team not turning the ball over, you get the full efficiency of this team and how good the roster is. They are loaded. They have playmakers. When they play a clean game, their defense has also been playing a lot better. But for the Bengals, we know that they can light it up. If this game turns into a shootout, they can easily score with anyone. Right now, the Eagles, they have Hurts closing in on 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, 4 picks. The Bengals have Burrow closing in on 1,800 yards, 14 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. The Eagles, they average 22 points a game. They throw for 195.5. They run for 166.7. Very balanced, and their defense giving up 19.2 points per game. They give up 189 through the air, 115 on the ground. The Bengals are averaging 25.4. They throw for 237.4. They run for 94.3. Their defense is giving up 23.7 points a game. They give up 217 through the air, 136 on the ground. They had a slow start to the season, but you always knew this team was a lot better than that. They have a legitimate great offensive roster, one of the deepest wide receiver cores, but the Eagles also have an extremely deep wide receiver core, and the missing piece here, they have Saquon Barkley, who's lighting it up right now, closing in on 700 rushing yards. They have A.J. Brown. They have Devontae Smith. For the Bengals, they have Brown. They have Chase. They have Higgins. Who's going to have the least amount of turnovers? Who's going to get the most stops? I have the upset here. I have the Eagles pulling this one out second half, winning this one 27-23. But this game's going to be close, and it's going to be a good one. And the next game we're looking at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 5-2 Baltimore Ravens. Who's hotter than the Baltimore Ravens right now? They'll be playing the 1-6 Cleveland Browns. Their only win was versus the Jags. Right now, the Browns, Deshaun Watson went down this past weekend. He's out for the season. Word is Jameis Winston should be getting the nod to start this game. Jameis Winston, he has a high ceiling, a low floor. He's a veteran, experienced quarterback, though. When he's on, he can gunsling it with anyone. The Browns are, honestly, this gives them a better chance to win because Deshaun Watson was playing awful this season. But right now, the Ravens are massive favorites here, 9-point favorites. The over-under is 44.5. The Ravens are obviously led by Lamar Jackson, who's putting up video game stats right now, closing in on 1,900 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. And the Browns, they're going to have Jameis Winston, who is experienced, but we haven't seen him play right now. Baltimore, they're one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the NFL. They average 31.1 points a game. They throw for 250.6. They run for 210.9, closing in on just under 500 total yards every single game. Their defense does need some work. They're giving up 25.7 points a game. They give up a lot of passing yards. 287.1 passing yards per game, but they do not let you run on them. They only give up 68.4 rushing yards per game. So you can throw on them all day long, but you cannot run on them. So if the Browns are going to want to beat them, it's going to be vertically through the air. That's Jameis Winston's specialty. He's a gunslinger. He wants to push the ball vertically down the field. For Cleveland, they're averaging 15.6. They have 159.6 passing yards, 94.3 rushing yards. Their defense gives up 23.1. They have a top 10 defense, but they've actually been on the field the whole season. They want a quarterback who can actually extend some drives, get some first downs. Maybe Winston can do that, but he might be a little rusty this game just because he hasn't played too much. For Baltimore, they have Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry closing in on 900 yards. They're the number one rushing team in the NFL right now. It's not even close. They have Flowers. They have Andrews. They have Likely. For the Browns, they have Ford. They have Judy. They did trade Cooper, but Jameis Winston's going to sling it up and down the field. But I have Baltimore ultimately winning this one 30-17 and continuing to rule on offense. And the next matchup we're looking at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 1-5 Tennessee Titans versus the 5-1 Detroit Lions coming off of that solid win versus the Vikings. We did have them beating the Vikings. Right now the Lions are heavy favorites, 78.6% chance to win this game. They are 11-point favorites. That is a massive NFL spread. The over in here is 45.5. When you're looking at these two teams, this is two teams going in completely different directions. The Titans' lone win was versus the Dolphins, obviously without Tua. They have Will Levis at the quarterback position, just shy of 700 yards, 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. That's been the main thing holding this team back, has been quarterback play, sloppy quarterback play, not able to consistently move the ball, get first downs, but also lots of turnovers coming out of that quarterback position as well. That's been holding this team back right now. They're averaging 17.7 points a game. They only throw for 145.8. They run for 113. Their defense gives up 24 points a game. For the Lions, this is a top 5 team. They have a top 10 offense and they have a top 10 defense. Very balanced. They can throw it. They can run it. They play great defense. They're averaging 30.3 points a game. They have Goff. Goff had a bad start to the season, but since that first, 1 or 2 games, he's been lighting things up vertically through the air, closing in on 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. They're throwing for 256.3 yards per game. They're running for 155.5 yards per game, and they're only giving up 20 points per game. This is a solid team. Looking at the skill positions for Tennessee, they have Levis, they have Pollard, they have Ridley. Right now, there's talks about them trading Hopkins. And for the other side, they have Goff, they have Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown. Multiple ways they can beat you. They have the quarterback, they have running backs, they have wide receivers, they have tight ends, they have a great defense. They are at home. I have the Lions winning this one. They should win it rather easily, taking this one 30-17. And our next matchup is at 1 p.m. on CBS. The 2-5 New York Jets. They've been riding a long losing streak right here. They have to get a win in this game. What better team to rebound with than the lowly 1-6 New England Patriots, who are riding a 6-game losing streak since they won their Week 1 game. Right now, the Jets heavy favorites, 71.2% chance to win this game. They are 7-point favorites. The over-under here is 41.5. You have Rodgers. Rodgers has made some pretty nice passes. He's had a lot of butterfingers going on. Lots of guys dropping balls, lots of guys not running the right routes. I'm not saying that he's old Aaron Rodgers, because he's definitely not, but he has made passes. Guys aren't catching the ball. Defense has been holding up. They need to generate a better rushing game. But Rodgers is closing in on 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Drake May will be getting the start for the Patriots. He's a rookie, closing in on 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. For the Jets, they average 18.3. They throw for 224.6 yards per game. They run for 82.4 yards per game. As I was saying, they have to get the running game going, and their defense is only giving up 20.7 points a game. For the Patriots, they average 14.1, one of the worst offenses in the NFL. The Jets need to steal this win here. They're passing for 151.9, running for 111, and their defense is giving up 25. For the Jets, you have Rodgers, you have Breece Hall, Wilson, Lazard. You added Devontae Adams through the trade. This is his second game with the team. He had some catches last week. He should get more and more familiar with the scheme they're running, and obviously he's already very familiar with Rodgers. And for the Patriots, they have Drake May. They have Stevenson, who's having a decent season on the ground, but they need to generate some type of passing game in order to help the running game. Thus, the running game could then open up some play action, and they have Hunter Henry. The Jets should win this one. The Jets should get turnovers. The Jets should be able to run it, throw it. I have them pulling it out 24-13. And we were really robbed of what could have been a really good one. The first matchup between these two teams was lightning. It was a complete overtime shootout. At 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the 4-3 Atlanta Falcons versus the 4-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams coming off of losses. The Bucs coming off of that disappointing loss versus the Ravens. We had them losing it, but it was what they lost. They lost Evans. They lost Godwin for this season. We don't know if Evans will be set to play this game, but Godwin's, you're definitely not going to see him for the rest of the season. He was actually leading the NFL in receptions when he went down. That's a massive loss here. That's a security blanket for Baker Mayfield. The one massive thing the Buccaneers had going for them was their veteran, experienced wide receiver core. In one game, that's been completely depleted. Right now, they were the favorites. When Godwin went down, they're now the underdogs. The Falcons come in 2.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 46.5. When you look at the Falcons, since their week 1 performance, I said Kirk Cousins was going to get better every week as he got more familiar with the new team, new scheme. That's definitely what worked out. They've been slinging the ball up and down the field. He's closing in on 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 picks. Baker Mayfield picked up right where he left off last season, closing in on 1,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, 7 picks. The Falcons, they average 23.3. They throw for 248.9. They run for 119.6, and a solid defense giving up 24.1 points a game. For Tampa Bay, one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL when they're healthy. They're averaging 29.9, throwing for 248.3, running for 135.1, and their defense is giving up 25.7 points a game. For the Falcons, one of the deepest offensive rosters in the NFL. Cousins, Bijan Robinson, Algiers, London, Mooney, Kyle Pitts, weapons at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. A very balanced team with a good line. And for Tampa Bay, they have Baker, they have Irving, Godwin, and Evans. Both of those guys are out. Godwin's for the season. Evans might play this week. We don't know right now, but either way, massive losses for them. I don't think they're equipped now to get into a shootout like they were previously, so I have to go with the Falcons to win this one, 28-24. The next matchup we're looking at 1 p.m. on Fox with the 5-2 Green Bay Packers, one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. They'll be playing the 2-5 Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags finally got their second win of the season this past weekend. Packers are heavy favorites on the road, 66.1% chance to win this game. They are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 49.5. The Packers, one of the most balanced teams in the NFL. They're lighting things up on offense, and their defense is shutting people down. Right now, they're being led by Jordan Love, who missed 2 to 3 games, and he's still closing in on 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 8 picks. The Jags, they have Trevor Lawrence closing in on 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. He started out the season really bad, but I'd say the last 3 or 4 games, he's been performing a lot better. Looking at the teams, we have Green Bay closing in on 26.6 points per game. They throw for 228.1. They run for 155. Their defense is only giving up 20.4 points a game. That's what's going to keep them in the game. Defense travels on the road. Packers, they have fans everywhere. For the Jags, they're averaging 20.7 points a game. They're throwing for 201.6, running for 124.3. They're giving up 27.7 points a game. That's bad. That's bottom 10 in the NFL. So there will be opportunities there for the Packers to be able to score here on the road. But they're giving up 273.9 passing yards per game. That is atrocious. That's bottom 5 in the NFL. Green Bay can throw it. They can run it. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for them to open up the passing game here, and they definitely will. When you open up the passing game, that's then going to open up the run game. They're going to be able to light it up on offense. For Green Bay, they have Love, they have Jacobs, they have Reed. For the Jags, they have Lawrence. Bigsby's really stepped in at the running back position, and they have a deep, young wide receiver core. Brian Thomas Jr. lighting things up as the wide receiver, and they also have Kirk. But I have the Packers winning this one. The Jags might get a garbage time touchdown, but Green Bay wins it 30-20. And the next matchup we're looking at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 4-3 Colts versus the 5-2 Houston Texans. Right now, the Texans have a 60.4% chance to win this game. They are 6-point favorites. The over-under here is 45.5. For the Colts, I said last week, I would not have put Anthony Richardson as the starting quarterback. I've never been necessarily high on him coming out of Florida. I think Joe Flacco gives you the better chance to win because he opens up the passing game. He will vertically push the ball down the field. Jonathan Taylor coming back, that's going to help him out. He can then have some open lanes to run, and he catches it out the backfield, which would then help Joe Flacco. Richardson, that guy can't throw. He's not accurate at all. He can run, but you're not going to run all over everyone. You have to be able to open up the passing game in order to help the run. Right now, Richardson closing in on 800 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 6 picks. That's just not going to cut it. Versus C.J. Stroud, closing in on 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. The Colts, they average 22.1 points a game. They throw for 206.3. They run for 123. Their defense is giving up 21.3. Their defense has played a lot better the last 3 games. For Houston, they're averaging 23.6. They throw for 227.6. They run for 122.1. And their defense is giving up 22.7. The Colts, they have Richardson. They have Taylor. They have Pierce. For the Texans, they have Stroud. Mixon's back. He's healthy. Nico Collins not going to be playing this game. That's a massive loss. They still have Diggs. They still have a stacked wide receiver core. Even without Collins, they should be able to win this game. It's just, had he played, they would win it by more. But no matter what, I have the Texans pulling this one out, winning it at home 27-20. And the next matchup we're looking at 4:05 p.m. on Fox, we have the 2-5 New Orleans Saints. They're riding a 5-game losing streak right now. Carr, he should not be playing this game, so they're going to be rolling out the rookie Spencer Rattler again. They'll be playing the 3-3 LA Chargers, who are bringing a great defense to this game. Great defense versus a rookie quarterback. That seems like a bad mix. Right now, the Chargers have a 58.5% chance to win this game. They are 7-point favorites. The over-under, very low, 39.5. Looking at the Saints, like we said, started out the first 2 games as hot as anyone, completely fallen off the rails. We are watching this team fall apart in real time, and Olave is not supposed to be playing this game. Right now, the Saints, they average 25.3 points per game. They throw for 196.6. They run for 116.3, and their defense is giving up 25.7. This is not a bad roster by any means. Right now, the Chargers, they are led by Justin Herbert, closing in on 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 picks. Has not done much through the air this season, but they haven't asked him to. This is a hardball team. They play great defense, and they run the ball. Right now, they're averaging 17.7. They pass for 183.7. They run for 116.3. One of the top 5 defenses in the NFL, only giving up 13.8 points per game. They're going to keep the ball on the ground. They're going to suck up clock. They're going to run it down your throat for 4 straight quarters. So they're going to seek to win the physicality battle at the line of scrimmage. For the Saints, they have Kamara, who, word is, he's also trying to get traded right now. They have Shaheed. For the Chargers, they have Herbert. They have J.K. Dobbins. They have Ladd McConkey. Chargers should be able to win this one at home. They have the defense. They have the veterans. And their defense should be able to almost completely shut down the Saints and the rookie quarterback. They win this one 24-16. And our next matchup at 4:05 p.m. on Fox, we have the 5-2 Buffalo Bills, one of the top 5 teams in the NFL right now. They'll be playing the 4-3 Seattle Seahawks. Seattle got a win this past weekend. They were riding a 3-game losing streak. They rebounded perfectly. But right now, the Bills are the favorites on the road, 63.8% chance to win this game. They are 3-point favorites. The over-under in this matchup is 47.5. We know the Bills, they're led by Josh Allen, closing in on 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. He still has 0 interceptions through his first 7 games. That's a record for him. This guy's a gunslinging quarterback, but they haven't asked him to do too much with the offense. They've been running the ball, keeping him clean, playing solid defense. Right now, they average 28.4 points a game. That's top 10 in the NFL right now. They're throwing for 204.7, running for 116.3, and their defense is also top 10, only giving up 19.4 points a game. For Seattle, they have Geno Smith, 1,800 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 6 picks. They're averaging 25.7 points a game. You don't want to sleep on Seattle, especially at home. This is a team that when they're on, their offense can shoot it out with anyone. They're throwing for 270.9, one of the highest passing teams in the NFL right now, and they're running for 97.4. Their defense is giving up 23.4 points a game. Looking at the Bills roster, they have Josh Allen, they have Cook, Coleman, Shaheed. They added Amari Cooper. That's a massive upgrade. He's a veteran wide receiver core. All of their other wide receivers are all young guys, so you needed a veteran there, someone that you can trust on third down. For Seattle, they have Geno Smith. They have Kenneth Walker III. If he's fully healthy, they're going to try to establish a run game. They have DK Metcalf, but Metcalf is hurt. But as of right now, he's still set to play this game. But what stage will he be in this game? Will he be 100% or will he be 75%? I have the Bills winning it out. They have too much firepower. They have the defense on the road. They pull this one out 28-17. 24. And our next matchup on CBS at 4:25, we have the 1-6 Carolina Panthers. Last season, they were the worst team in the NFL. This season, they are still competing for worst team in the NFL. They'll be on the road here versus the 4-3 Denver Broncos. One thing Denver has going for them is they have a top 5 physical defense. The Panthers, they're going to be led by Dalton, so they benched Bryce Young. They've been rolling with Dalton, who has actually opened up the passing game. He has made this team semi-competitive. He's closing in on 1,000 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 6 picks. Right now, the Panthers are averaging 15.7 points a game. That is still bottom 5 in the NFL currently. They throw for 172.6. They run for 109. Their defense is by far the worst defense in the NFL, giving up 34.7 points a game, 124 through the air, 162 on the ground. So the Broncos, who don't have a great offense, there's going to be opportunities for them to be able to move the ball here because everybody moves the ball on the Panthers defense. They'll be led by Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, closing in on 1,300 yards, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. Sean Payton is keeping him within his wheelhouse. Short, dink and dunk, accurate passes, roll the pocket, keep him mobile, keep him on the move, keep him upright. They're averaging 20.7 points a game, throwing for 169.9, running for 124.1, and their defense, like I said, top 5, only giving up 15.1 points a game. They're going to make it difficult for the Panthers to come to Denver and score and move the ball consistently on them. For the Panthers, they have Dalton. Chuba Hubbard is actually having a really good season considering the fact that he's the main weapon, and they also have Johnson. There's trade talk going on for both of those guys right now. For Denver, they have Nix, they have Williams, they have Sutton. They should be able to win this one just based on their defense alone. They take this one 24-15. And at 4:25 p.m. on CBS, we have the 6-0 undefeated reigning Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, versus the 2-5 Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders, they don't have a good offense. They don't have a good defense. They really don't do anything particularly well. And the Chiefs have a 73.4% chance to win this game on the road. Chiefs come in as massive favorites here, 10-point favorites. That's a huge spread for an NFL game. The over-under is 41.5. When you're looking at Kansas City, they're not necessarily lighting things up on offense at all. They're actually probably having one of their worst statistical seasons. Patrick Mahomes closing in on 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. He had 2 picks last week, no touchdowns. They still won the game convincingly because they're running the ball, they're playing defense, they have a top 5 defense. They're not actually asking much from their offense, and I don't know if their offense could give it to them right now. But if this game came down to it, you know Patrick Mahomes, he's an MVP quarterback. He would lead this team right down the field, and they would score. They're averaging 24.3 points a game, throwing for 221.5, running for 128.8. It's that defense only giving up 17.2 points a game, only 90.5 rushing yards per game. They shut down the run game. They pressure the quarterback. That gives them turnovers. That gives them the short field. For Las Vegas, O'Connell was starting. Now they're going back to Gardner Minshew, supposedly. I've been saying, don't leave Gardner Minshew. He's not necessarily great, but at least he gives you a 50-50 chance that he could have a good game. He will either throw 3 touchdowns or he'll throw 3 picks. But that's better than 1 pick, 1 touchdown, and losing the game still. Right now, they're averaging 17.7, throwing for 211.1, running for 85.6. They don't have a great run game, so the Chiefs are really going to feast on whoever starts at the quarterback position, and they're giving up 26.1 points a game. For Kansas City, they've been beat up. Rice, Pacheco, banged up, but they still have Patrick Mahomes, Hunt, Worthy, Kelsey. They still have the weapons there, and they're going to have the short field a lot of these possessions. For Las Vegas, they have Minshew, they have Madison, they have Brock Bowers, who is lighting it up. He's one of the rookies of the year so far. But I have Kansas City winning this one easily. Raiders might get a garbage fourth quarter touchdown, but Kansas City wins this one 27-16. We were also robbed here of what should have been a fun matchup. 2 of our young star quarterbacks, 2 of our Heisman winning quarterbacks. CBS 4:25, the 4-2 Chicago Bears. I said after their week 1 performance, do not count Caleb Williams out. He had 93 passing yards. I said, first game, the offensive line stunk. He was getting pressured, sacked. Once the offensive line started holding up, that gave him time to find those targets downfield. He's made massive strides going forward since week 1, getting better every single week. They are playing the 5-2 Washington Commanders. Right now, the Bears have a 50.2% chance to win this game. They are 1.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 43.5. The reason that I said that we were robbed is this should have been Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels got hurt this past week, and they haven't rolled him out, but I don't think he's going to be playing this game. So I'm going to be giving this prediction based off of him not playing this game, which is what Vegas is thinking. That's why the Bears are the favorite on the road. But it should have been two Heisman-winning quarterbacks, Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. However, we're still getting two Heisman-winning quarterbacks. It's going to be Caleb Williams versus Marcus Mariota, one of the best backups in the NFL. He did win the Heisman when he was at Oregon. So no matter what, we get some Heisman competition. So that will be fun. And when he filled in for Daniels, he showed last week, this guy can light it up. He has it. He's not Jaden Daniels, but he's definitely serviceable. They won the game big. Looking at this matchup, you have Caleb Williams closing in on 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 picks. The Bears, they average 24.7 points a game. They're throwing for 196.7. They're running for 104.8. And a great, great defense that's going to make the difference here. They're only giving up 16.8 points a game. For Washington, could be Daniels, probably going to be Marcus Mariota. They're averaging 31.1. They have a top 2 offense in the NFL right now, but you're taking out the leader on the field. He's not going to be there. That should affect the offense when you're playing a great defense. They throw for 218.7. They run for 165.4. They're giving up 21.7. Their defense has been getting better every single game for the last 3 to 4 games. They used to be up in the 27s. They've slowly lowered that number. They have Daniels. They have Robinson Jr. They have Terry. They have weapons there. They have Marcus Mariota, who is not going to panic here. He's going to get the ball to the playmakers. But I have to go with the Bears to pull this one out on the road, 24-20. And this next game would have been a really good matchup last season. This season hasn't fully lived up to the hype, but at 8:20 p.m. we have our final Sunday game on NBC. The 3-3 Dallas Cowboys versus the 3-4 San Francisco 49ers. If you would have told us last year that these two playoff teams had these records, we would have been surprised. They've taken massive steps back, though. One step for the 49ers due to injuries. For the Cowboys, just due to them just playing awful the whole season. Right now, the Cowboys are the underdog. San Francisco, they're at home. They have a 67.1% chance to win this game. 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 46.5. Looking at the Cowboys, though, they had Dak Prescott closing in on 1,700 yards, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. Had a really good passing season last season. Has not followed that up with a good passing season this season. Too many turnovers, and their running game is completely atrocious. They're only averaging 21 points a game. They throw for 259.3. They only run for 77.2 rush yards per game. Worst in the NFL. If they want to win games, they have to get that number up. They have to figure out something to generate some type of running game, which would then help Dak Prescott and the passing game through some play action passes. Right now, their strength used to be the offensive line, their run game. That has not carried over into this season. And their defense, they had a top 5 defense last season. Right now, they're giving up 28 points a game. It's awful. Bottom 5 in the NFL, bottom 3 in the NFL right now. Who would have thought? They need to figure out something. Mike McCarthy, his seat is on fire. He needs to get this team above 500, well above 500. Looking at the 49ers, they have Brock Purdy closing in on 1,900 yards, 9 touchdowns, 7 picks. They average 25.7 a game. They throw for 254.4. They run for 149.9. Their defense giving up 22.6 points a game. The 49ers, when they're healthy, have the best top-to-bottom roster in the NFL. To me, it's not close. Purdy, McCaffrey, Mason, Jennings, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. But that's the thing is, they're not healthy. McCaffrey's basically been out the whole season. Mason has stepped in perfectly. He's going to have to carry them this game. Brock Purdy needs the help. They're going to need Mason having a great game. Ayuk is now out again for the season. They still have Debo. They still have Jennings, but they are so banged up. Lots of injuries. They still have a solid defense, but it's not as good as it used to be. Right now, this game could go either way. Both teams need this game. If the 49ers loses, they drop to 3-5 a year after going to the Super Bowl. If Dallas loses this, they drop below 500, and then we really see a pissed off fan base. I have the San Francisco 49ers pulling this one out in the fourth quarter. It's going to be a high-scoring shootout, though. They win it 30-27. The big issue for the Dallas Cowboys, and the reason I can't go for them is Dowdle's the leading rusher, 246 rushing yards per game, through 6 games. The guy's only averaging 30 to 40 rushing yards per game as the Cowboys' leading rusher. The Cowboys, they need better than that. They need to sign someone, trade for someone. They need to draft someone this offseason. They need a 1,000-yard back. CeeDee Lamb, he can't do everything. I have the 49ers pulling this one out. Our next matchup and final matchup, the Monday night game on ESPN at 8:15. The 2-5 New York Giants, who are quickly downtrending right now. They'll be playing the 5-2 Pittsburgh Steelers, coming off of that good win versus the Jets. Right now, the Steelers have a 69.1% chance to win this game. They are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under is 36.5. This is 2 defensively focused teams for the Giants. Daniel Jones, the guy is not the answer. Closing in on 1,500 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks. You need to rip the Band-Aid off. You need to for sure draft a quarterback this offseason in the NFL draft. You have one of the worst bottom 5, bottom 3 offenses, only averaging 14.1 points a game, throwing for 189.1, running for 101.6, and your defense is giving up 21.3 points a game. For the Steelers, they're going to be rolling with Russell Wilson back-to-back weeks here. Had a great game versus the Jets. He has 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. You have Justin Fields there. Could they both see the field? Possibly. I don't know what their goal is with Justin Fields. To me, he's too good. He's too young to be a backup. He can start somewhere, but we know how Russell Wilson played last season. You're probably wanting to hold Justin Fields there just as some insurance. Right now, Pittsburgh, they're averaging 23 a game, throwing for 180.1, running for 134. But this is just like the Chargers. They are a defensively focused team under Tomlin. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play great defense. They're going to play special teams. They're going to beat you at the line of scrimmage. Can you out-physical them for 4 quarters? That's a massive question. Their defense only giving up 14.4 points a game, only 81 yards on the ground. So if you beat them, it's going to have to be through the air. We know Daniel Jones is not an accurate passer. There's probably going to be some turnovers here. For the Giants, they have Jones, they have Singletary, they have Neighbors. The only thing they have going for them is you have a legitimate wide receiver number 1 in Neighbors. But you need to get a quarterback here that can consistently get the ball to the playmakers. For the Steelers, they have Harris, they have Pickens. They're going to run the ball. They're going to lean on the Giants. They're going to win this game. They're going to take it 23-13. So that's all of our NFL Week 8 predictions for the 2024 NFL football season. And make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments on these games or anything else, drop it below and I will respond. Thanks.